as I know, it's true, and they want if the hostilities will end quite quickly, they want to make elections as quick as possible because they are worried about. Because I think there will be a lot of questions to Vladimir Zelensky about how country was prepared to the war, what was happening during the war.
Let's go back to Ukraine and the story of Donald Trump and what he had to say to journalists. He was in the air talking to journalists, told a journalist that he was very angry with President Putin. And here he is, well, just expanding on that on Air Force One last night.
Some of the things that were said over the last day or two having to do with Zelensky, because when he considers Zelensky not credible, he's supposed to be making a deal with him, whether you like him or you don't like him. So I wasn't happy with that.
Well, the president also accused Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of trying to back out of this deal to share Ukraine's rare minerals, as well as infrastructure, as well as energy with America. And he warned there'd be big problems for Ukraine if they did back out, as he put it. Now, I spoke just a short while ago to the former president of Estonia, Thomas Hendrik Ilves. He told me the deal, well, he described it as colonialist. Oleksyi Goncharenko is on the line, the Ukrainian MP for the city of Odesa. Hello to you, Oleksyi. Welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Now tell me then, Oleksyi, President Trump is telling the media he's angry with Vladimir Putin, that he might impose sanctions on those using Russian oil. Do you find yourself reassured by that news?
I think it's a good news. I think that President Trump starts to realize that the only obstacle to peace is Vladimir Putin and his wish to continue the war. And Donald Trump now is starting to say how he will put pressure on Russia. This is a very good conversation, and this is a right development, because in reality, if President Trump wants peace, and we want peace here in Ukraine as soon as possible, but for this, the pressure should be put on Putin, because Putin doesn't want any peace, and he just tries to play games with Trump, and it looks like Trump realizes it, and that is good.
So you welcome that aspect of this story, but do you find it curious that the President of the United States has had to take the time that he has taken to come to the realization that Vladimir Putin is playing for time, something which so many people argue is obvious?
Yeah, it is obvious. And as I understand, President Trump tried in his cooperation, in his conversations with Putin, to use a more carrot, but it will not work. We were saying it from the beginning. And he will need to use a stick. So it's very important that he will be ready to use this stick, because that's the only language Russia understands. And before the stick will be used, they will not move an inch. That's what we see. So, yeah, it doesn't matter how much time did it take, but if President Trump is there, that's the good news.
And what do you think of this latest reported draft of the American contract deal on minerals and energy and on infrastructure, and saying that past donations from America in military aid should be treated as if it's a debt to be repaid? Do you consider this is a deal, this is an offer that Volodymyr Zelensky must reject and then face the consequences, I suppose, of President Trump's reaction?
I think this is the deal which should be negotiated. So the general idea of some deal with the United States with some priorities for them and benefits for American business is absolutely okay. But what is not okay is the idea that Ukraine should acknowledge some debt which does not exist. It was a decision of the United States to support us. And well, one more thing, we were not choosing what to receive from the United States. And after this, to say now you need to pay for this, it's not just rare earth, it's all natural resources of Ukraine, which are included in this deal.
Yeah.
Also, there is a percent, so plus 4% per year, annual percent. So, I mean, that is not fair, because there was a clear deal that the military support to Ukraine was free of charge at that time. So President Trump has all the right to change the rules, but not for a previous deliveries, but from a new one. It's clear. So I think it should be negotiated. Second problem is that some parts of this deal, they can stop Ukrainian and European integration, because European Union law is clear that it couldn't be a monopoly of some country on infrastructure of member of European Union. So that also couldn't work, because for us European integration is absolutely must, and this is our strategic goal.
Yeah.
So I think it should be negotiated with the Americans. I think we can explain them what works, what not, because we, on the one hand, we can't sign something which is completely against Ukrainian national interests, but at the same time, we can't lose United States of America as our ally in such difficult situation that we are in.
Yeah, difficult dilemma. It's also reported now that President Zelensky may be contemplating holding summer elections if there's a ceasefire. I mean, do you recognize those reports? And the polls, they now say that he's much more popular than he was until recently, that he'd very likely win that election. What do you make of all that?
Several questions in one. First question, is it true that the office of President Zelensky is considering this option?
Yes.
As I know, it's true. And they want, if the hostilities will end quite quickly, they want to make elections as quick as possible, because they are worried about, because I think there will be a lot of questions to Vladimir Zelensky about how country was prepared to the war, what was happening during the war. So they will try to make it quickly in order to use the situation when part of media is controlled by the government because of martial law time and other things. Second question is, who will win in these elections? I think it's unpredictable. You in the United Kingdom know it better than others. Even after capitulation, surrender of Nazi Germany, Churchill lost elections just in 40 days after. So it's not capitulation, it's not a surrender of Russia, unfortunately. So how people will vote, I really don't know. According to today's polls, there are like two leaders which have more or less the same numbers. It's President Zelensky and Ukrainian ambassador to the United Kingdom, General Zaluzhny. So here in London, where you are now are. So, but will it be the same in 2-3 months? I don't know. Will it be the same in 6 months? I don't know. What I do know is that we shouldn't hurry with elections after the end of hostilities, because we need to, first of all, we need to restart democratic process in Ukraine, to restart freedom of speech, freedom of gathering. And after this, we will see in reality, and on free elections, we need to choose a new president of our country.
Okay, that's really fascinating. You do believe that the president is contemplating a quick election if there's a ceasefire, and you think, although the president is ahead in the polls, it would still be a bit of a battle to decide who is to be the next elected president of Ukraine. Oleksyi Goncharenko, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the show this afternoon.